Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8, and this is Let's Play Will, A Wonderful World, Part 5. So, let's see what new letters we
没有
have.
搞错。
Dios, ¿qué debería hacer?
I want to double check to make sure this is recording. I'm pretty sure it is. I even double checked during the intro, but I don't know. I just feel like I constantly need to check that. Okay, so we have two letters. Okay. So a Jimmy and a Carlos. How are they together? Okay. Unexpected. And it's even a preview. My mother had always complained that I never exercised. She would always say that if I ever needed to run away from bad guys, I would be dead in just a few steps. There were not many bad guys in the world. Besides, even if there were, I think I could just stay in my room and not go outside. It is information era, after all. As long as I can get information online, I can play with the real world in the palm of my hands. Yet, even though I managed to dodge all of the recruiting activities for my school sports meet, my roommate had totally ruined my perfect plan. Today was the all-school sports meet. I thought I could have made up an excuse like a foot injury, so I wouldn't even have to sit under a tree. And I could just stay in my room and play on my computer. But Rocky had signed me up for the 4x400 relay race without me even knowing about it. And now I had to stand under the scorching sun. That's not what I wanted to do. 400 meters! Madness! The last time I had been in a race, I was still in elementary school. I hadn't even hit puberty. I thought I might die on the track today. Oh, that picture's supposed to be him laying on the ground. The gun went off. I took it from his hand. I never knew that Rocky was so fast. Our team was actually in first place during his third leg run. Still, why was I the final leg? What were the people thinking? They were probably thinking you're really fast, and then, because I mean you're pretty skinny, dude. So and you're young. Me, I got a bit of weight. Plus, I tend to stand sometimes 10 hours a day while walking in semicircles nonstop. My knees don't agree with running or jogging anymore. I can't seem to get any damn speed. People all along the tracks were cheering for me. Oh god, that's so much pressure. I couldn't really tell who they were, but this actually felt pretty great. I was only 50 meters from the finish line, and no one had caught up with me yet. I must have underestimated myself. Ha ha ha! Look at me, Mom, your son is about to win a race. Not sure what to think about that face. I looked straight ahead to the finish line, then I saw her. I saw my crush. Oh no! Don't distract me at such a moment. It was too late. I had only lost focus for a second, and the tip of my foot tripped over a bump on the track. My entire body left the ground, and then my face smashed into the ground. By the time I got back up, the other teams had all run past the finish line. Oh no! Jimmy. Okay. Although it had just suffered a fire, Pitt Street 99 was still open for business. It was a small and old building. The walls were covered with flyers and graffiti. I walked through the main gate and saw a narrow staircase. There was also a small desk at the bottom of the stairs, facing the entrance. A man with spiky hair, named Cloud Strife, was sitting behind the desk with his legs crossed. He put down the magazine, which had a woman with big breasts on the cover, and asked what I was doing there. I told him that a man in a long black trench coat had told me to come here. Trench coat? Everyone here wears a trench coat. I'm telling you, this is not some place that you can just walk in. You'd better get out of here before I stab you with a knife. Spiky hair picked up the magazine again. I tried to recall what the guy looked like. White shirt, gray vest, short black hair that was combed to the back. He also had a big guy in a black suit with a scarred face by his side. A scarred face? Mr. Tough? Hold on. Hold on. Does the guy you're talking about have his right hand? spiky hair, put down his magazine and his legs, and leaned toward me quietly. Right hand. I couldn't remember exactly, but I did remember that he had peeked at my phone with his left hand. He shouted upstairs, "Mr. Kwan, the guy you have been waiting for is here." I looked at the staircase with anticipation. However, the man who came down was not the one I had met. He was wearing a leather jacket and a pair of sunglasses. He had high cheekbones, and he looked much older. Okay. He took me all the way to a suburb on the back of his motorcycle. Mr. Kwan spoke very fluent English. I will say this. Anyone who can speak multiple languages, that is absolutely amazing. I have attempted to learn other languages, and I have done horribly at it. He told me that the building we had just been in was the headquarters of the Black Dragon Gang, the biggest gang in Hong Kong. And the person who had told me to come was the second in command of the gang. He had instructed Mr. Kwan to induct me as a pledge. Oh, we're being inducted into the gang? Okay. This is unexpected. A pledge was a potential candidate to join the gang, but before officially admitting me, Mr. Kwan had to make sure I was qualified. What counts as qualification? Mr. Kwan put a gun in my hand? I was stunned. You don't have to do it. If you are not willing to do this, we can leave right now. You'll just pretend that you have never met me. Mr. Kwan took a small metal box out of his pocket and threw a piece of gum in his mouth. No, I'll do it. I couldn't let go of any chance to find Alicia. Besides, I had a brilliant idea. I went into a convenience store nearby. Most of the goods on the shelves seemed to be used goods. Some of them were covered with a thick layer of dust. The owner looked like he was over 60. He was reading a book behind the counter. It was just the two of us in the store. I walked up to the counter and smashed my left hand down on it and lifted the gun with my right hand and pointed at his head. I yelled in my meanest voice, "Give me all your money or I'll blow your head open." For some reason, I read that like the wolf from the Three Little Pigs story. Then I whispered to the old man about what was going on, making sure that Mr. Kwan wouldn't be able to hear me. I was so nervous, even though I had no intention of robbing him for real. I handed him what was in my hand. "Please." The owner put down his book and looked at me pleadingly. We need the money here for my wife's hospital bill. I can't give it to you. Everything else in the shop, if you like, is all yours. All yours, please, please. Apparently he had only heard my threats, not my whispers. Shit! Tears rolled down my face. I must have lost my mind to be robbing a poor old man like this. Even if it was all fake, I never should have done this. I handed the gun to the owner and loudly told him why I was there and what I had been through. To my utter surprise, after hearing the story, the owner offered to help me ask about my sister, and even asked if I would be willing to stay here and help out in the store. He said I was welcome to stay as long as I didn't mind the little wage he could afford. I gave the old man a huge hug. Outside the store, Mr. Kwan had already left. I would never see him again. I started working at the store while looking for information on Alicia. Days went by, but I still hadn't heard anything. Lord, what should I do to find my sister? Should I have joined the gang instead? Carlos. I feel... What? Stop adding rules! Come on! In this letter, there is the sequence special restriction that we talked about before. If you put I handed him and I took from, both on the left side, then the former has to happen after the latter. Oh, the gun went off. Oh, God. Oh, God, no. Oh. There's going to be a possibility for Carlos to accidentally shoot the dude. Oh, my God. I'm going to have to do that because I'm a bastard, but still. Oh, God. Why am I a monster? Because you can't hand the baton over and then have it back again. Furthermore, if you put the gun went off piece on the left side too, it has to happen before the match begins. So there is another sequence restriction on this piece too. All sequence restrictions are labeled by a number. These pieces with smaller numbers can be placed after with bigger numbers. Since the aforementioned restrictions only apply to the left side, there is a straight vertical line in the middle of the red diamond, and the number is marked on the left side. You'll get used to all these red signs eventually. How many more are there going to be? Okay then, I'll try my best to remember them. Well, I gotta shoot the guy. I'm gonna have Carlos accidentally kill the old man, because... yeah. Right in the fucking head! Oh god! I knew what was going to happen, but I still did it! Why? Why would I do this? When I know where this path leads? I'm a bastard! A dark red hole appeared on the forehead of the owner, who is completely fucking dead. Apparently he had only heard my threats, but not my whispers. He ain't hearing shit now! Just when I was about to give up, the gun went off by accident. There was blood everywhere. I ran out of the store, completely forgot about Mr. Kwan, and began running back the way we'd thrown. Mr. Kwan never tried to catch me. A few people on the street gave me some strange looks. They must have thought that I was a madman. I wasn't mad. I was guilty. I was guilty of killing someone. I had to confess. I must confess. Before sunset, I was sitting at the police station. There were blisters on both my feet. Lord, I have to confess. Please forgive me. Shit! Retry. Let's see what happens here. I finally handed the baton off the next leg. If I take one more step, I was going to throw up blood and die right there, right then. Our team was in second place. It was all up to Rocky now. Rocky soon finished the first 200 meters, but something didn't seem right. Had he eaten something bad today? Let's go, Rocky. Let's go. Go, 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 go. I'll buy you ice cream. Now that I participate, I wanted to win too. I couldn't help but start cheering Rocky on. Many of the people around me started cheering too. I never knew that participating in this kind of event could actually feel pretty great. Rocky suddenly sped up. He finally ran past Class 2 with 10 meters left. He crossed the finish line first. Well done. We were happily hugging and shoving each other near the finish line. My stomach hurts a little. Can we do a barbecue instead of ice cream? You're funny. I pushed Rocky aside and caught a glimpse of someone. It was my crush, and she was looking at us. And she was smiling. Wow, I never knew I could get this kind of reward by participating in the meet. I felt so happy, so happy. Okay, so I got a rank S there, but still pretty damn bad over there. Okay. I finally handed the baton off. The team is in second place. Rocky Sue. In the end, not only did Rocky fail to pass Class 2, he was eventually passed to Class 4, 10 meters. That sucked, although being part of this actually felt great. The owner was so frightened that he was shaking. He immediately took a few large bills out of the drawer and handed them to me. Apparently he had only heard the threats, not my whispers. Looking upon a 60-year-old man with an ailing wife at home, crying and begging me to spare his life, I could barely hold the tears. Mr. Kwan took the money from my hand with a satisfied look on his face. I was then admitted into the Black Dragon Gang. A few days later in the evening, I took a motorcycle from someone else in the group and came back to the store. I stuffed all of the money I had borrowed for the past few days under the rolling door of the store. Sorry and thank you, Mr. Owner. So I got the rank S for him. I need to try to get a rank S on both sides. Maybe? No. So how do I get an S for both of them? So I need to not shoot him. Okay, how does this work out? I had the only valuable thing I owned in my left palm when I smashed my hand on the counter, my cell phone. The owner looked outside the window and seemed to understand what was going on. He accepted the cell phone quietly and took the few large bills out of the drawer, which was worth more than my phone, and handed them to me. Thank you so much, Mr. Owner. I left the store and handed a plastic bag with money to Mr. Kwan. How dare you play a trick on me? You think the Black Dragon Gang is just a joke? He punched me in the head and knocked me to the ground, then gave me several heavy kicks to the stomach. The passers-by all hurried away, afraid of being caught in the middle. Well, that didn't work. At least got something unique, but still. Okay, so I have to have this one over here. Okay, so how do I do this? And I can't just do that because of the sequence thing. There's only so many ways I can put things.
나를 도와주세요.
¿Por qué me pasan este tipo de cosas?
So we have Carlos and Mystery Person. Okay. Let's double check real quick to make sure it's recording. I know I constantly want to check this, but still. Yep, everything seems working. Okay, let's see what we have. A piece of rope and the lives in group loyalty. My name is Park Sang-gun. I'm 12 years old. I live in Korea. My home was on a hill. There were a lot of similar old houses on that hill, and the one that was highest was my home. There were good and bad things about living there. The good thing was that since our house was so high up, we got to be farther away from the other houses, and so we had a big yard. However, I had to climb stairs for over half an hour every day just to go and buy my dad a bottle of vodka at the convenience store at the bottom of the hill. If I didn't go, my dad would get angry. He would beat me with his belt. It wasn't just me either. He would also hit my mom too. I never understood why he would do that. I don't either, and I'm sorry. No one should have to live like that. I'm very sorry, that's awful. I just wish that if we could figure it out, maybe Mom wouldn't have to be beaten anymore. No one should be beaten. I mean, you can't love you guys if he's doing that shit. Dad was a road construction and maintenance worker. He used to come back home with mud all over his clothes. I mean, I can understand. I've worked in some pretty dirty jobs myself. But for the past 2 months, he had always come home clean. Sometimes he would bring back some money and give it to Mom. Other times, though, he would just take some money out of the pot where we kept our food money. Mom always worked very hard. She had to wash a lot of clothes and sheets during the day for other people. Is he gambling? She said she was getting paid for washing them. I really wanted to help Mom, but I was too short. I couldn't even reach the pole where she hung the clothes and sheets to dry. Alex came by today. He lived on the hill too. Alex was Russian, just like my mom. They both had blonde hair and blue eyes, just like me. How old is Alex? The other kids who lived by didn't like me at all. Is Alex older? Is Alex your real dad? They always said that I looked weird. Only Sue Me from the bakery would play with me. Okay, that's fucked up. I know kids can be cruel, but still, it's me. She had once told me that she wanted to open a cake shop together with me, but I didn't like cakes. You can make other things. She can make the cakes, and you can make whatever you're passionate about. You know, more variety makes for a better restaurant, right? Or bakery? There was an ant nest in our yard. I was watching the ants carrying things into their nest. I bet they must have a very big home. Yeah, ants really build huge things. Suddenly it started raining. Are you going to fall down the hill and die because it's going to be slick and you're going to fall down the entire ass hill and just have your brain spot? Why is everything in this game go dark? Well, I mean, if it wasn't, then you wouldn't need, the panda squirrel and future Chun-Li to be helping you. But damn! A large rain almost blocked the entrance to the nest. I went back inside to get an umbrella, then I came back and covered the nest. Mom and Alex were taking the sheets back inside. Then Dad came home. He was Korean. He had black hair and brown eyes. He was back earlier than usual today. He saw Alex there and kicked the umbrella away. Alex left. Mom went into the house with Dad. I followed them inside as well. You slutty bitch! Dad slapped Mom on the face and pushed her to the floor. He took a rope out from the cabinet. The rope was wrapped around her neck and choked her. 5 minutes later, I grabbed onto Dad's arm with my whole body, but I couldn't stop him. He was too strong for me. He kicked me in the stomach and shoved me off of him. I fell and crashed in the corner of the room. Bastard. Dad called me that word a lot. I used to ask Mom what it meant. I guess I can understand why there's a bit of frustration, because apparently you're the Alex guy's kid, but that is still unexcusable for any reason for him to hit either of you, let alone what the murder thing that just occurred. The very somber, solemn, and sad music is appropriate. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Alex fucked your mom and he's your dad, and you're half Russian. But you know what? Well, every relationship I've ever been in, I've either been cheated on or dumped or both. But I'll say this. Even in the relationships where the person cheated on me and fucked other people, I have never hit anyone. I cried a lot, and I felt really sad. And of course, relationships kind of come to an end then. But holy shit. I mean, yes, it's heartbreaking to have your partner cheat on you. I've had it happen to me multiple times. And yeah, I mean, especially since you trust that person and they violate that trust, and it breaks your heart. But I have never hit anyone, and holy shit. Yes, it's understandable to be sad about that stuff, but hitting either of you is fucked up and wrong. And besides, you're a kid. You don't have a choice in who your parents are. You can't control anything. It's not your fault. And if he's really that unhappy, he shouldn't be with her then. But at the same time, like I said, I mean, I've been in relationships. Like I said, every relationship I've ever been in has either ended with the person dumping me, or cheating on me, or both. That being said, I have never hurt anyone. And there is no reason to hit your spouse. There is no reason to hit a child. The only reason to ever hit a spouse is if your spouse tries to come at you, with a weapon or a gun trying to kill you. At which point, yes, if you have to save your own life or this life or to protect your child, yes. But just out of anger, just because you're pissed, it's one thing to have to go that route as an absolute last resort for self-defense. But even then, that's more so if you're defending a child. But this is fucked up! And like I said, there's no reason to hit your spouse or a child. And this is horrible. The music's amazing, but the story it's well said. It's a well done story. But it's kind of like saying Stephen King's It is a well done story. It's a well done story, but it's about a killer clown ghost monster that eats people. It's not a happy story. But fuck! She told me that just meant bad child. Dad finally let Mom collapse to the floor. She didn't get back up. It was as if she had fallen asleep. I tried to shake her, and I tried as hard as I could and shouted as loud as I could. She would not wake up. I heard the door open behind me. I turned around. Dad ran out. I didn't know where he was going. Fuck! I held onto Mom's arm and cried. Why? I had always been a good child. Fuck. Kids don't deserve this kind of shit! God, please let Mom wake up. I promise I'll be a better child. Fuck. I promise I will never be a bastard again. Oh, man. Oh, shit. Fuck. What's the next letter gonna... I had been a member of the Black Dragon Gang for 2 months, but I was still yet to officially meet Mr. Lin. Okay, this can't be as bad as the other letter! Fuck! Mr. Lin was the second in command of the Black Dragon Gang. We met once on the day of the fire at Pitt Street 99. He was also the one who had inducted me into the gang. I thought I would be able to get some information about my sister once I joined the gang, but soon I had found that everyone in my group, including our leader, Mr. Kwan, knew nothing about her. Well, that is... you. I had to blow my nose, sorry. But, damn, that's wrong! You guys lied to him! Those bastards lied to me! As for Mr. Lin himself, he rarely ever came to number 99 in person. Still, there were some upsides from joining the gang. At least I didn't have to worry about room and board anymore. My Cantonese was also improving a lot. Besides, not everyone in the gang was as scary as one would expect. Of a gang member, Ren was one of the nice guys. I belonged to the group loyalty team. The group oversaw the loan business, so we were essentially the loan sharks in the gang. Now that I had become a member, I just couldn't coast along without doing anything, but I didn't want to do wrong things. I had told Ren about my predicament during one of our conversations. Ren then told Mr. Quan that he wanted to bring me along when he went debt collecting. Every time we went, Ren would whisk the kids of the families away first. Then I would tear apart their old clothes, spill some chicken blood on them, and mail the clothing to the debtors. Once we were sure the debtors would see the bloody clothes, Ren would then make a phone call. Hey, you got the package, right? I'm giving you 3 days off. If you don't, 3 days. If you still don't have our money, you will be getting more than just clothes next time. He sounded like Uncle Wang, the big butcher at the street corner, with a violent attitude. The afro on his head would bounce 3 times with a rhythm every time he yelled at his customers. As soon as he put down the phone, he would immediately turn into a preschool teacher and go with our hostages who were wearing the new clothes we had just bought them. Ren would get scolded by Mr. Quan every once in a while. He said Hong Kong was too small of a place. If everyone learned how group loyalty handled the business, it would become more and more difficult to collect money. But Ren never took it seriously. Ren knew that I had come to Hong Kong to find my sister. Even though he couldn't help much, he would always allow me to go and look for her whenever there weren't any assignments. Every time Mr. Quan asked me, he would also cover for me. Just like today, I had been out asking around the whole morning, but I still got nothing. When I got back to number 99, everyone in the group seemed to have a strange smirk on their faces. Ren said they were going to go and get a massage, and they had been waiting for me to come back so they could put me on watch duty. I assume they're going and getting laid by hookers. I laughed knowingly. Help yourself to the beer on the table. I paid for those. We're off. Oh, and I almost forgot. There is someone in the room who Mr. Quan had told us to keep an eye on. Don't let her get away. Then they left. A girl was tied to a chair in the corner of the room. Although there was a cloth stuffed in her mouth, she seemed very pretty. She looked Asian, but she had dark skin like man. What is this music change? This music is amazing at setting a tone, but the tone being set has got me on the edge of my seat with very much concern. But there is no way this letter can be more sad than the other letter. Do not prove me wrong. Her eyes were thin and curly like a pair of new moons. Okay? Her shining black hair draped down from her head like a dark waterfall, and she was wearing a purple short skirt. It looked like the skirt had been torn on its side. Well, if Mr. Quan wanted her watched, then I should just watch her. No need to think too much about it. I slapped my cheeks to keep myself alert. I raised the bottle, and then a rope snapped. I was reading the labels on Ren's beers when I heard the sound of the rope snapping. Before I could turn around, I felt a hand strike the back of my neck. I blacked out. I didn't know how long had passed. A bucket of cold water was thrown in my face. I woke up with a shudder and opened my eyes. I saw Mr. Quan standing right in front of me. Everybody was back in the room. They all had a terrible look on their faces. I looked to the corner again. The chair was still there, and there were 2 halves of a rope on the floor. The girl was gone. Oh crap, I had made a terrible mistake. Ren tossed a knife over to me and looked away. Am I gonna chop off a finger to show penitence? I had not been in the group for long, but I knew the rules. If I wanted to stay, I had to do this. And cut off my left pinky finger. Half of the bloody finger dropped on the floor. Blood was still gushing out. It hurt like hell, but I was a man. I didn't make a sound. I would be crying like a bitch. Ow! Who on earth was that girl? If only I had been more alert. Why did he cut off his pinky finger? It's a ritual in the Mafia and some gangs. If you make a mistake, you must cut off your own pinky finger. Some gangs might even make their new members cut it off before officially joining. Carlos. Well, shit. Okay, what are my options? Well, obviously I need the rope to snap here. I'm pretty sure I'm going to make it where Carlos kills her. Okay, Carlos, you get to murder somebody. I go from being sad to being a psychopath in a second. I just sat back down when Mr. Kwan came back. He looked inside the room with a grim expression over his face. This is how you watch someone? I quickly turned around, oh my lord. Earlier the girl had seemed to be having a seizure. Her entire body was shaking and she kept hitting the wall with her head. I was afraid that she would hurt herself too much, so I adjusted the rope, but I didn't realize the rope had become tighter and tighter while she was struggling and that she almost couldn't breathe. Thank God Mr. Kwan had come back early and noticed that, otherwise I would have made it Okay, so she didn't die. Ren tossed a knife to me and looked away. Okay, we're cutting off her finger again. Did she die? I must stop Dad. I climbed up onto the table and smashed the vodka bottle on his head. He suddenly stopped and fell on the ground on his back. Something dark and red. She killed! What? She's 12! The vodka bottle couldn't have hit his head that hard, right? That wouldn't be hard enough to kill someone, would it? Mom sat back up. Her face was pale like a piece of paper. She coughed violently for a while and cried. I carefully climbed off the table and ran into her arms, just like I always did. Every time Dad lost his temper, we would huddle together like this. Again! Even if you have a temper or not, you shouldn't mistreat people. Especially your loved ones. No. I didn't know what Dad would do to us when he woke up. I wished I never had a dad like him. Yes, it is! It is sad! And he is a bastard! Who knows? Maybe his father was mentally ill. Humans are easily stressed. That part is true, but regardless of what kind of temper you have, regardless of how much stress you're in, you shouldn't hurt people. Particularly, your own spouse and child. That's unacceptable. It's unforgivable. It's terrible. It's awful. No one should live like that. No one, no matter how much stress you're in, you shouldn't do that. Some people would ease their stress by exercising, overeating, or smashing things. Well, I have a punching bag. Not that I'm good at fighting in real life, but I have a punching bag. And I try exercising, but I keep accidentally hurting myself. Since it seems I'm very easily to strain muscles. And the overeating thing, that and also when I'm at work I tend to eat a bit because I don't want to tire out and, slow down at my job. However, some people become twisted. Sigh, he was so young. If only he hadn't had a father like this. Haha. If he never had his father, he would not have existed. You were right. Does that mean I had a father too? You are a god. So of course not. Don't overthink it. Get back to work. Okay, so we got a rank S over there. Can I have a situation where she literally is dead, though? Like, is she actually going to be dead this time? And then Mr. Kwan came back. He looked on the side of the and grimaced. Yep, that. Yep. Yeah, I made the worst possible outcome here. Mr. Kwan, he looked inside the room and in a grim expression came, "You are dead now, Carlos." Damn. I quickly turned around. Oh my lord. Earlier, the girl had seemed to be having a seizure. Her entire body was shaking and she kept hitting the wall of her head. I was afraid she would hurt herself too much, so I adjusted the rope on her, but I didn't realize the rope had become tighter and she wasn't able to breathe. Now she was dead. Oh lord, what have I done? I dropped down my knees and I couldn't stop shaking. A bullet flew out of Mr. Kwan's gun. It was flying toward me and I could see it getting closer and closer. Dead. Yep, that's definitely a bad ending. No. Okay. Mr. Kwan had come back. This music sounds better. He pulled up a chair in front of the girl and sat down. He began asking her questions. The others had come back from the massage as well. We were all standing next to the wall. No one dared make a sound. From Mr. Kwan's questions, I learned the girl's name was Yi. Mr. Kwan had only met her recently. Mr. Kwan had even bought her an apartment. Mr. Kwan was a tough man, but he had always been very gentle to women, and he had never slept around either. Therefore, he couldn't tolerate being betrayed by his woman. A few days ago, he had found out that Yi had been hanging out with people from the Blood Gang. He began to suspect that she had been approaching him with other intentions. He decided to find out the truth. Mr. Kwan dumped a bucket of ice water on her head. The air conditioning had been set to max power and at 16 degrees Celsius, and it was blowing directly at her. Every time she would not answer a question, he would cut off some of her hair and slap her in the face. Yi was quite tough, though. Her mouth had started bleeding. Almost all of her hair had been cut off. She still hadn't spoken once, but Mr. Kwan was tougher. He sent Ren to go fetch him a bottle of white flower oil. Okay. He twisted off the cap before she was wide open and was about to drop it into her eyes. Yi was shaking uncontrollably. Tears were welling in her eyes. She was finally broken. What is white flower oil? And how bad is that for your eyes? I assume it would probably blind you. What, is it like bleach? Mr. Kwan was right about everything. Yi was not just a member of the Blood Gang, she was also the niece of their big boss, Mr. Chang. But that wasn't what had angered Mr. Kwan the most. Yi hadn't seduced him to infiltrate the group loyalty for our loan business. She was only trying to get closer to the other groups of the Black Dragon Gang. She had only chosen Kwan because he was single, and therefore an easier and more convenient target for her. The Blood Gang had never cared about the loan business at all. Mr. Kwan was outraged, feeling incredibly insulted. Carlos, take care of this bitch. Never let me see her again. Well, we got 2 rank S's there. And you know what? We will go ahead and call that a part. So, I hope everyone out there had a good day. And where is... Here it is. Okay. Hope everyone had a good day. Bye.